Whew, we are cruising through this, and I know it may seem slow, but trust me, you are going to be an absolute pro at this at the end. We've just looked at our doc type and our HTML, the first two lines of code. Now let's start getting further. Once we go below that HTML element level, our DOM will start to branch out and get very interesting. At this point, we have several ways of navigating around our DOM. One way that we've seen plenty of this is by using query selector and query selector all to precisely get the elements we are interested in. For many practical cases, these two methods are just too limiting. Why? Well, they can be limiting because sometimes we don't know what we are looking for. And as programmers, when you are navigating the DOM, you're going to be finding yourself in this position all the time, that you're not quite sure what you're looking for. You don't have a CSS selector. Okay, great. So what do we do? Well, what helps us is this. Knowing that all of our elements in the DOM have at least one combination of parents, children, and siblings to rely on. Well, let's visualize this. We just coded up our HTML. Let's just put it on the screen. This should look very familiar. We just did this together. In fact, the only thing I added now was I added a comment node. You can see I've added this is a comment node. I wanted to just make things a little bit more tricky for us. Let's look at all our code within our body. What can we say about this main tag? Well, let's draw it up here. The main tag is kind of, call it at the very top level. And yes, we're ignoring the actual HTML and the body itself. We're starting with this main tag. Below this main tag, we've got three very broad element tags, don't we? The h1, the div, and the div. So far, so good. We can even go deeper in this tree, can't we? We know that we've got the h2s and the paragraphs, and they are all nested within the divs. So far, so good. But now I want us to start looking at the family relationship, because this is what's going to help us. This is what's going to really put us ahead in our career. How does this family relationship work? How does it look like? Well, we know that that main element tag is the parent. What about the h1 and the two div tags? Well, those are the children. And what about below that? What about all those h2s and the paragraph tags? Well, we can argue they are siblings. So here we have it. We've got the parent, we've got the children. Below the children, we've got a lot of these P's and H2s. We can kind of, it depends on what we're looking at, but let's just say they're siblings, the H2 and the P, for example. Let's take a step up. Looking at the children, you know, we've got the H1 tag and the two div tags. We said that those are children. Well, if we're just looking at them in isolation, we know that they can also be siblings. And why can we say they're siblings? Well, because they share the main element as their parent. The H1 element has no children, but the div elements do have children. The H2 and P elements are children of the div elements, and all children of the same parent are siblings as well. That's why we call these guys siblings. The point I'm trying to make is that just like in real life, the parent, the child, and sibling relationship is based on where in the tree we are and what we're looking at. Almost every element, depending on the angle with which we look them at under, can play multiple family roles. You yourself may have a child, in which case you'll be the parent, but you yourself may also have a parent, being your parent, your mother or father. Hope it's making sense. I hope you're having fun, but don't stop. We're only just beginning. Let's jump into the next lecture.